We've already talked about the fact that a linear function makes a straight line when it's graphed, and it has a constant rate of change. However, you don't want to have to think about the entire set of points one by one or look at them one by one every single time you want to figure out if something's linear or not. The shortcut is just looking at the equation. Any linear equation can be written as ax, which means you have the x variable with a coefficient, and by, which is just the y variable with a coefficient, equals c, so you have to have a constant. We've solved equations like that and gotten y equals a coefficient times x plus the constant. So anytime you can make the equation look like one of these two, that's going to be a linear function. The only times that will be impossible is these cases. When x or y has an exponent, such as x squared or y cubed, when x or y is in the denominator, when x or y is the exponent, when they're under a radical sign, or when there are absolute value bars around them. So basically any of these weird funky symbols, you don't want them in your equation if you're trying to make it into a linear function. Having x or y in the denominator is also not okay. If x and y are being multiplied together, that's also a problem. And you could think about if you try to separate the x and y, one of them has to go into the denominator. So those two are sort of linked. Alright, so here are some example equations. This one has y equals, so it's linear. This one has y equals 4, so it could be y equals 0x plus 4. But it's still got y by itself and a constant, and there's no x value in the denominator or anywhere else. This is also y equals x plus a constant. So all of these are fine. Here, however, we have x squared, we have x within these brackets, and we have x within these absolute value bars. None of these are going to... Alright, so here's your worksheet, and I want you to pause the video, cross out, first of all, anything that's not even a function, if you know what that is. We haven't really talked about it in equations yet. But then I need you to go ahead and cross out the ones that are not linear and circle the ones that are. Alright, so now that you've paused it, this one right here is already in the correct form. It's got the x and it's got the y. We're good to go. This one here has x times y, so it won't work. If we did try to solve it, we would divide by x. We would get 3y plus, and I'm typing this with my mouse, not my smartboard, so I'm sorry, plus 5 over x equals 1 over x. So we've got 1 in the denominator. Again, another reason why this equation cannot be put into this form. Alright, if we look at this next one, it's got x squared, so we know that one won't work. This one here we said will work. It's just got y equals 0x plus 12. The next one, we have x as the exponent, so that won't work. Here we've got the absolute value bars, so it won't work. Here x is already in the denominator. If we try to multiply it out, we get 3 plus 2 times x times y equals 5x. And we don't want 2 times x. That's going to mess us up. Here it's already in the correct format. It's got 1x, but that's okay. This one we're going to come back to. But this one here, it's got the x with a number, the constant, and the y with the number. So this one's good. If you want x and y on the same side, you can add it to both sides. You get 6x plus 4y equals 9. So this works no matter what. This last one here, x equals 8. If you graphed that, all of your x values would be exactly the same. So you have your coordinate grid right here. If here is over 8 up 0, here's over 8 up 3, here's over 8 up 5. You starting to see the picture? It's a vertical line, which means that it's never going to pass the vertical line test. They're all in the same x value. So just future reference, anytime you see x equals, it's not even a function. There has to be a y value somewhere in there. It can be y equals because that's a horizontal line, which is totally allowed. X equals is not allowed. But the whole point of this is so you can look at it and recognize if it's a function or not. Please be able to do that when you come in tomorrow.